Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to present the business model of the Children's Tumor Foundation. It's really about how research foundations can be change makers in the R&D ecosystem. First of all, I would tell you a little bit about the focus of our foundation. We're focusing on a disorder called neurofibromatosis, which is in just one slide, a family of 3 genetic disorders, NF1, NF2, and schwannomatosis, with an incidence anywhere from 1 over 3,000 to 1 over 60,000. All 3 disorders have in common that they cause tumors to grow on the nerves that are led by tumor suppressor gene pathways. They lead to significant morbidity, and all 3 are unfortunately progressive disorders. And just to give you an idea of what I mean when I speak about progressive disorders, for NF1, it's in fact a lifelong disorder. The children are typically diagnosed at birth, show café au lait spots, and then over their lifetime, I'm not going to go into all the different manifestations of NF, but as you can see, it's a very complex disorder, and at every life point or at every point in people's life, they are at risk for different manifestations. The same situation for NF2, where patients typically are diagnosed later. There are some patients that are diagnosed early in life, but the NF2, the hallmark tumor that is developed is vestibular schwannoma, which leads to deafness. And then there is a number of other tumors, meningioma, epidemioma, but also neuropathic pain, etc. So again, a progressive disorder, a complex progressive disorder. For schwannomatosis, the situation is even more unknown, honestly. The people are typically diagnosed in adulthood. They are diagnosed they have tumors on their nerves. In the beginning, the surgeries will in fact help relieve the pain, but then in fact, unfortunately, the surgeries don't help anymore and people really live with excruciating pain. So for schwannomatosis, we really should be looking at pain medications. To give you a quick idea of that, this is about real people, right? I put the names on them because those are people that we deal with on a daily basis. Dan, Aiden, Julie, Ken is a lawyer in New York City. Aiden and Dan work at the foundation, but all these people are real people. And some of them are visibly affected by neurofibromatosis and others are not. NF2 is, I call those suffer in silence. They are people that look perfect on the outside, but have all kinds of tumors on the inside. McKinnon Galloway is 27-year-old. She's a public relation manager, but as you can see, her brain MRI shows a very different picture of that perfectly looking girl. She has many tumors inside and she is at risk of losing her hearing. Bill Ryder, same situation, over 60 years old. He's volunteering for the Red Cross, but what is really messing up his life, honestly, is the excruciating pain that he is dealing with. So why am I telling you all this, and what is in fact the investment philosophy of the Children's Tumor Foundation? I'm telling you about the patients because those are at the center of everything we're doing. But what we are really doing as a foundation are 3 things. 1, we invest in research, and I will show you a few case studies in the beginning. Either competitive grants, let the best one win, or collaborative grants, which are called synodos, where it's really bring the winning team together to solve big complex problems. Then we have in fact identified that publications is not good enough, and we have built an R&D enabling platform everywhere from registries to endpoints to target scans to even a contract research organization now for drug testing, all that to make sure that these magnificent discoveries lead to better treatments for patients. And then the third thing we do is really building communities of scientists, clinicians, patients, pharma executives, even regulators. And then we have a big patient engagement program that really shows where our patients are the most useful for themselves and for the R&D process. They help review clinics. They review even grants now for from the research side. They go to science patient ad boards in pharmaceutical companies to explain the company what it means to live with NF, and they do the same thing at the FDA and the EMA to really show what it means to live with a condition like neurofibromatosis. I thought to give you a few examples to show that this actually is real. So we have, and I'm not going to ask you to read this whole slide, but what is important is we put this winning team together for neurofibromatosis. We did it for many other conditions as well, but just the example for NF2, we invested about $3 million over 3 years to build a fully comprehensive preclinical pipeline that has led to drugs. And now we're co-funding with Takeda the very first platform trial for neurofibromatosis, which is looking at multiple tumors with multiple drug applications. And there is 6 participating sites across the United States. We are doing the same platform trial development now in Europe in an exercise called EU-PRO. It's an IMI grant. The next slide, equally busy, and I'm sorry about that, is to show that the approval of Koselugo, which is the very first drug for NF1, for plexiform neurofibromas, has been a collaboration between multiple funders. And as you can see, the light green is the Children's Tumor Foundation. So across this entire, what we call parcours, you know, this whole path of getting this MEK discovery all the way to an approved drug has been a collaboration between multiple funders. And as you can see, CTF was a real part of this whole path. Just to show you that this is a real drug, it has gotten people out of their wheelchairs, literally, because the tumor are really shrinking because of the MEK inhibition. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of other examples. Our advocacy funds, our advocacy efforts have led to NF funding from the CDMRP, which is the Congressionally Directed Medical Research Programs. We go on the Hill twice a year to really advocate for, it's about between $15 and $20 million every year for global NF research. We have participated in multiple public consultations in Europe and for the European Parliament, regards to Beating Cancer Plan, with regards to the rare disease, and the data, the health data initiative. We have honestly advocated to include NF in one of the calls as a prototype for rare disease in the IMI2. And now we are work package leaders for the NF work package within an IMI grant called EU-PRO, and we are an IMI associated partner. And over the timeline of the grant, we are in kind investing about €1 million. We have our partnership with Pfizer Cures, and that has literally led to the spin out of mirdametinib in a company called SpringWorks, which is now a highly successful company in the United States, developing drugs for plexiform neurofibroma. Our investment in training, which is another gap that we had identified, is that NF is still a rare disorder, and there's very few clinicians that actually know how to deal with those patients. So we have done a couple of things, such as we're organizing now master classes given by NF experts in Europe, and the program is called INFER, and all the recordings are on YouTube in 6 languages. We're organizing virtual case conferences to really discuss between NF experts complex situations with NF patients. And this year, or 2021, we have organized the very first NF training class also in South America in both English and Spanish. We're investing in dissemination because we think that it's really important that if new discoveries are made, and especially when it comes to endpoints for clinical trial, this needs to be public. So we are paying for the open publication of mission critical publications. And we are organizing every year the world's largest NF conference. And we have been doing that since 1988. We're also investing, and that is not on this slide, a NF summit, which is more patient facing. And then we are really highly investing in open science. We launched the very first ever NF data portal that we started in 2014. And now this is a co-funding between both the NIH, NTAP, which is another NF funder, NFRI, another NF funder, and the NCDMRP, where everybody is kind of incentivized or invited or a little bit forced sometimes to share their even unpublished data in this data portal. And that has led to the creation of a data movement that has resulted in already a number of NF hackathons that we have held since 2019. I want to close by saying that we also offer a lot of resources for the NF patients, and that is really driven by the patients. So it's in fact the patients that say, we would like to know where to find a doctor, we would like to get educational materials, we would like to get school materials for the teachers of our children. We would like to make sure that NF becomes a known condition. So based on, in fact, the input and the really strong collaboration between the foundation and our patient community, we have built a number of resources for the patients, honestly, with the patients. So we have in the US, we exist for about 40 years, and we've also launched our CTF Europe operations since 2018 with that identical same mission of working together and making sure that we end NF together. And with that, I really would like to thank you for your attention. And if you would like to get in touch with me, please reach out. We're always there, and join our movement. Thank you so much.